Alright, so for this video, I'm going to be solving the equation x to the power of x squared minus 1 is equal to 9 to the power of x squared minus 1. So, to solve this equation, what I'm going to do is start off by squaring both sides. So I get x to the power of x squared minus 1 squared is equal to 9 to the power of x squared minus 1 squared. And by the way, this is method 1. I actually have two methods of solving this equation. So now from here, if I have something in the form a to the power of m to the power of n, this is equal to a to the power of m times n, meaning these two are going to multiply and these two are going to multiply. So now I get x to the power of 2 times x squared minus 1 is equal to 9 to the power of 2 times x squared minus 1. And now from here I can rearrange this. So I get x to the power of 2 to the power of x squared minus 1 is equal to 9 to the power of 2 to the power of x squared minus 1. Now if I have something in the form a to the power of b is equal to b to the power of c, if a to the power of b is equal to c to the power of b, this means that a is equal to c. So in this case, I have x squared is equal to 9 squared because these two are the same. So if x squared is equal to 9 squared, meaning x squared is equal to 81, 9 squared is 81, then this means that if I take the square root on both sides, x is equal to positive or negative 9. So that's one way. But what I'm going to do is see if there's any other solutions, because these two, positive and negative 9, may not be our only solutions. So going back, I have x squared to the power of x squared minus 1 is equal to 81 to the power of x squared minus 1. And now if I have something in the form a to the power of m minus n, this is equal to a to the power of m times a to the power of negative n. So I get x squared to the power of x squared times x squared to the power of negative 1 is equal to 81 to the power of x squared times 81 to the power of negative 1. Now, if I have something in the form a to the power of negative n, this is equal to 1 over a to the power of positive n. So, I get x squared to the power of x squared times 1 over x squared is equal to 81 to the power of x squared times 1 over 81. This turns into x squared to the power of x squared over 81 to the power of x squared is equal to x squared over 81. Now, because these two are powers of x squared, if I have something in the form a to the power of m over b to the power of m, this is equal to a over b to the power of m. So this turns into x squared over 81 to the power of x squared is equal to x squared over 81 to the power of 1. And again, if I have something in the form a to the power of b is equal to a to the power of c, this means that b is equal to c. So this means that x squared is equal to 1, and if I take the square root on both sides, I get x is equal to positive or negative 1. So now these are two more solutions to my equation. Now, I'm going to check more solutions with method 2. So going back, I have x to the power of x squared minus 1 is equal to 9 to the power of x squared minus 1. And this time, I'm going to be using logarithms. So I'm going to take the log on both sides. So I get log of x to the power of x squared minus 1 is equal to log of 9 to the power of x squared minus 1. And if I have something in the form log a to the power of b, I can move this exponent b to the front. So this turns into b times log a. So if I have something in the form log of x to the power of x squared minus 1, I can move x squared minus 1 to the front, and I'm going to do this on both sides. So I get x squared minus 1 times log of x is equal to x squared minus 1 times log of 9. And now from here, I can multiply both sides by 2, so I get 2 times x squared minus 1 times log x is equal to 2 times x squared minus 1 times log 9. And I can move this 2 to the front of the log, so I get x squared minus 1 times log x squared is equal to x squared minus 1 times log of 9 squared. So this means that x squared minus 1 times log of x squared minus log of 81 is equal to 0. And if I have something in the form a squared minus b squared, this is equal to a plus b times a minus b. So I get x plus 1 times x minus 1 for x squared minus 1 times log of x squared minus log of 81. So this gives me 3 equations in total. I have x plus 1 equals 0, meaning x is equal to negative 1. X minus 1 equals 0, meaning x is equal to positive 1. And log x squared minus log 81 is equal to 0, meaning x is equal to positive or negative 9. Because in this case, x squared and 81 have to equal to each other. So this means that x squared is equal to 81. And if I take the square root on both sides, I get x is equal to positive or negative 9. So these are my 3 solutions. And you can actually, I'm actually just going to put them right here. X is equal to 1, x is equal to negative 1, x is equal to 9, and x is equal to negative 9.